The B.S. Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
This is the B.S. Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't care.
The B.S. Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the Sports Guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The B.S. Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Complex Litigation, this is John.
Jenny!
Oh, man. I thought this was the Vatican calling me.
Oh, Johnny!
There's white smoke. Oh, man. Oh, well, they can text me, I guess.
What is white smoke? My Twitter feed just blew up with white smoke jokes. What does that mean?
Well, that means that they have selected a pope. They burn black smoke to indicate that they've had a vote and that they did not elect a pope. And then when they get a pope, they burn white smoke to let everybody know, like, to gather, because they're going to have the new pope come out in like an hour.
Is it possible the new pope will convince Holy Cross to join the All-Catholic Basketball League that's happening?
Well, when I sent in my resume for the job, that was my platform.
Holy Cross Basketball, and that's it?
That's it, pretty much, yeah.
What kind of smoke are the Yankees burning right now? Is it red smoke?
It's smoke from Geritol or some other old age product.
Who's less excited about the baseball season, you or me?
Oh, you should be. I'll be honest with you. I've been talking with some of my Yankee friends, and they're alarmed by my level of optimism because normally, as everybody knows, I'm super pessimistic. So the fact that I'm optimistic may be a harbinger of awful, awful things. But I'm not that. Everybody is very eager to pour dirt on the Yankees, and I understand they've been a perennial playoff team for 19 of the last 20 years or whatever it is, and they've won 5 World Series, and everybody always hates the Yankees. So I get all that, but I think the reports of their death may be a little exaggerated. Well,
let's take it person by person. You were never a Teixeira fan.
Right, and he starts off slow every year.
Right, so oh, that's interesting. You actually missed the Teixeira April slump because he's literally not playing.
Right, I mean, it may now turn into a May and June slump, but I mean, it's not like he ever produced anything the first month and a half of the season anyway.
Do you think this will give him more time to babysit his kids? I think it's a double win, actually.
I hope so. I was worried that his injury was from like tossing his kid in the air or something,
It was a belated paternity leave accident.
Exactly.
So how many weeks is he out?
He's out 8 to 10.
And then Granderson broke his arm?
He broke his arm, his forearm, yes, or his wrist.
And how many weeks is he out?
He's out around the same, like 8 to 10. He's actually expected back, I think, a little bit sooner than Teixeira because his injury happened sooner. And Teixeira has the odd like wrist strain, and it always seems like guys take longer to recover from strains or sprains than they do from actual broken bones.
So just so we're clear, we're now calling PED suspensions broken arms?
Yeah, it's like Jordan taking time off to play baseball, right?
So he, quote unquote, broke his arm.
Well, that one I think is pretty well documented. There's actual video of the ball hitting his arm, etc. Yeah.
Wow, they can do anything now with video.
Well, that's true.
So he's out, and then who? And then what about Michael Pineda?
Yeah, I'm not sure what his state is. I guess they're hoping for him maybe like, mid-season, June, maybe. I think he may be able to be productive.
So the fact that you traded Jesus Montero, who's now going to play 150 games at catcher for Seattle this year.
Yeah.
And your catching situation is arguably the most appalling in the history of the franchise, or at least since Bang the Drum Slowly, whoever that catcher was in the early 70s.
Yeah.
Pretty weird. Why don't the Yankees have a catcher? They have more money than anybody.
Everybody's all like up in arms about this and agog. And first of all, Jesus Montero was never projected to be a catcher for the Yankees because he's not a very good catcher.
True.
So Godspeed for Seattle if he's going to start 150 games at catcher for them. But he was always projected as more of a DH for the Yankees, and they need to keep the DH spot warm for A-Rod and Jeter and other aging players.
Yes.
So they can rotate in and out of there on a couple of days a week. So the Montero trade to get a young pitcher with the dreaded upside I still don't think that was a terrible trade. And Montero didn't exactly set the world on fire for the I was about to say the Seahawks, for the Mariners last year.
True, and neither did Hector Nosey.
Everybody is like rending their garments and wailing about Russell Martin. And I mean, I like Russell Martin as much as the next guy, and he got me tickets to a game last year because he's a friend of a friend. So I miss him more than anybody else because he got me into a game for free. But I mean, let's not make Russell Martin into Johnny Bench here. He hit 18 home runs last year, some of which were key, but he also hit like 210 and had to like get hot at the end of the season to reach 210. So we're not losing like the greatest offensive catcher in the history of mankind. And defensively, yes, he was solid, but I mean, again, he wasn't the prime Pudge Rodriguez gunning runners down at second base. So yes, would I like to have a catcher that it was a higher quality than Francisco Cervelli and Chris Stewart? Yeah, but I don't think it's really the end of the world if those guys are your platoon.
And you lost your best PED connection this year. A-Rod is out for at least half the year. Where do you think the guys will get PEDs this year?
Well, I'm sure they find ways, I'm sure. Probably when Big Papi comes to town.
Oh!
You're throwing all these stones at the Yankees. I had no
Johnny.
choice but to fight back.
How did you react to the Miami PD, A-Rod, that whole thing?
Well, I mean, as people who've heard me on the podcast before know, I'm not like a reflexive A-Rod basher. In fact, I've been somewhat of a defender of A-Rod from time and again. So I'm not one of these people that automatically is like, oh, he's not a true Yankee and like, degrades or downgrades A-Rod. I don't really have a huge problem with him, but at a certain point, it kind of became the straw that broke the camel's back, and I'm like, I just want them to get rid of him and just like get rid of that contract. And it's easy for me to say it's not my $115 million that has to be spent, so that's easy to say. But it's like there's just too much drama with him, and it's always just too much drama and negativity, and it's just like you don't want to defend him as a fan. As a fan, you reflexively defend people that wear your uniform. But not your uniform, but the uniform of your favorite team. But with him, it's like just no mas, like too much, enough. I can't do it anymore.
So it was the needle that broke the camel's back.
Basically, yes. Rather than the straw, it was the needle. Yeah. I
think you're gonna miss him. I think you're gonna miss having him in your life. He was the lightning rod.
Well,
you could complain about him. Like now you have Kevin Youkilis to complain about. It won't be the same.
Yeah, believe me, count me in on that bandwagon in terms of complaining about him. Yes. But I mean, they're not going to miss A-Rod because he's completely untradeable. Unless they find some clever lawyers that can, somehow void his contract either for PD allegations or find a doctor that declares him disabled so they can get rid of his contract and collect on the insurance. But that's easier said than done because the insurance company's not going to be very eager to be on the hook for $1.15 either. So. I
was actually excited for him this season because they have blood testing this season.
Yeah.
That would have been an interesting wrinkle for him.
Yes.
But he's basically been revealed as a fraud because
pretty much
he claimed, I only did it for a year or two, and then it turns out he probably did it that whole decade, and God knows when he started.
Yeah, and really he was dealing with some criminal masterminds too, because the doctor he wrote like, A-Rod owes me $5,000 for steroids. Like, could you use like a code name or something?
Right?
Couldn't you be like Centaur owes me $5K or something like?
Or even Alex.
Oh, exactly. I think he wrote like Alex R, and then he wrote like Melky C. Right. Okay, be a little more blatant.
That's true. Like, why didn't he use like the uniform numbers or something?
The guy should have just like stapled his baseball card into a binder and like wrote how much he owed underneath it.
When I buy illegal drugs from people, I always insist they use pseudonyms.
I would think. I mean, haven't the movies shown us that there's always like blinking headlights and codes, and it's much more like Argo, shouldn't it be?
Well, I'm looking at the Yankee depth chart, and C. Stewart is your catcher.
Chris Stewart, yeah, he was the backup last year.
D. Johnson is the first baseman.
That's Dan Johnson, sure.
Dan Johnson of the Tampa Rays fan?
I think yes.
Oh wow, he's like a 200 hitter.
Yeah, sure.
But had that one clutch game 162 homer.
Yes.
So he's got that going for him.
There you go.
Robinson Cano, Derek Jeter, Youkilis.
Yeah.
Let's save that for a second.
Okay.
Jay Rivera, I'm assuming that's Juan?
Sure. Or Melky Mesa or Zoilo Almonte.
All right. I don't know who those other two guys are.
They're good prospects.
And I'm in an AL Keeper League and still don't know who those guys are?
Yeah, I know.
Juan Rivera, wow. He can suck in, Juan Rivera. We've all had him on our fantasy team. He'll get hot. He'll have like a hot streak, and you feel like you won the lottery, and then he'll go 2 for 40 or get hurt.
He could surprise some people.
You got Brett Gardner back.
Yeah.
Ichiro, you re-signed.
Love Ichiro. I'm going to make my case for you, all right?
Hold on. We're not done yet. We didn't get to the designated hitter.
Right.
Now, it says T. Hafner, and that just can't be Travis Hafner, right? That just can't. It can't be Travis Hafner.
I know that you have to be antagonistic to me, but you love Travis Hafner. You love Pronk. You've wanted Pronk to be a Red Sox for years. Now,
I loved him in the early 2000s. You Travis Hafner's your DH.
Yeah.
How much money did they save with this team this year?
Well, they're in a cost-cutting mode at the moment.
Well, I take it back. I didn't realize his 2012 stats were that good.
Yeah, they were
228, 12 homers, 784 OPS, 47 strikeouts in 218 innings. So I take it back.
There you go. See?
I didn't realize he was that competent.
The thing is, it's funny. It's weird to be the Yankees at this point, and they lost the aforementioned Russell Martin to the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I mean, part of the reason for the outrage is because they lost him over $4 million, which is chump change to the Yankees. That used to be a rounding error for them in contracts. And
right.
To lose somebody to the Pirates is comical. And then they lost Raul Ibanez for nickel and dimes too. But I forgot where he went. He might have gone back to Seattle though. Is that where he went? I forget where he went, but I think he just wanted sort of a change of scenery, though. But they kind of nickel and dimed him, too. But, again, they don't want to make a long-term financial commitment to a DH or spend a lot of money there because they're saving that spot to spell guys a couple days a week.
I have a serious and not ironic question.
Okay.
Who is your cleanup hitter?
Well, with Teixeira and Granderson out, unfortunately, it's probably going to be Euclid.
Oh my God, Johnny!
Yeah.
Oh, Johnny!
Look, I'm not going to make a case that it's the most potent lineup in history, but what was the biggest complaint? What was the biggest complaint about the Yankees last year? That they were too reliant on the home run, and they were just somebody will come up and hit a jack, and that's how that was their whole offense. And then when they got to the playoffs and you faced better pitching and nobody could hit at all, let alone hit home runs, and they fell apart. This year, it's certainly not going to be a problem to start the year, and they have lost a lot of power because they lost Ibanez and they don't have A-Rod at third, and they although he didn't produce much power last year, but they lost Ibanez and Russell Martin did hit 18 home runs, so that is a legit issue. But the Yankees of the past, the first team of this era, the Jeter era, in '96 played National League Baseball with Torre as the manager. They stole bases, guys would get timely hits, they laid down bunts when necessary. With Gardner and Ichiro, it's going to be a fast team. Those guys get on base. You make something happen. It's not going to be relying on the home run.
Euclid.
Yeah, Euclid.
What day do you talk yourself into him? I have May 10th in the office pool.
Oh, that's way too early.
Way too early. What if he starts out hitting 380?
Well, I mean, if he starts hitting 380, I'm the biggest phony in the world. I'll probably buy his jersey May 10th if he starts out hitting 380 and he's on fire. But and I mentioned this on Twitter today because the Yankees, whom I follow on Twitter, the official Yankees site, they had a thing of a Euclid banner being prepared to be hung at Yankee Stadium, and I just turned my stomach. And so I retweeted it and said, no, and I got a lot of responses back. And it's people were like, well, didn't you root for Damon and Boggs? And I did, and Clemens too, and maybe it's just a passage of time that has mellowed me on those guys, and maybe I was this outraged at the time, but Euclid is kind of a bridge too far for me, though, because I really have despised him for his entire career, just everything about him. You
hated Clemens as much as, if not more than anybody.
Yeah, so I'll probably warn. But then at least those guys made the right noises about being a Yankee and the honor and all that. The very first press conference Euclid gave of any note at spring training, and the first thing he says is, "I'll be a Red Sox for life." I mean, does he understand how idiotic that is when you join the Yankees like your biggest rival?
Yeah, that was a little weird. I can't defend that.
And then he said, "Oh, I just meant on my baseball card, I played there for 8 years, so that's never going to go away." Well, no one's claiming it is. But don't say I'm going to be a Red Sox for life. That's completely different.
I think he just said that so the Red Sox wouldn't throw at him. Is that possible?
Well, who's he worried about throwing at him?
As I told you on this podcast a number of times, I think it's a very good signing.
I don't know.
I think he's going to be good for them.
I mean, he has qualities that Yankee fans will like. And, Red Sox fans used to always talk about when Yankee fans hated Euclid and booed him, that his level of throwing helmets and ranting and raving was no different than Paul O'Neill, who every Yankee fan, including me, worships.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he will bring that, quote unquote dirt dog, fiery attitude, which is good to see. But I got to see it to really convince me.
Well, I think you're in by May 10th.
All right.
So here's the strength of the team. Starting pitching looks pretty good.
Exactly. That was my next point. Everybody just sort of glosses over the rotation, which is great, by the way.
Yep.
Great.
It's very, very, very good.
And last year in the playoffs, when they couldn't hit to save their life, their pitching was phenomenal. Phenomenal. I mean, they weren't losing games 10-0 except for the final elimination game when they all rolled over and Sabathia got hurt. But I mean, the pitching is great, and their defense in the outfield is great when Granderson comes back. That outfield is going to catch everything.
And then you have a bullpen again because
they have a good bullpen.
The greatest reliever of all time
is back.
He's back.
They have so their offense is down a little bit, no question. Their lineup doesn't put the fear of God into you like it did in past years. But when Teixeira's back and it's midsummer and he's feeling good and he's spending a lot of time with the kids, and Granderson's back with some pop, it's not a terrible lineup. And with the speed in the lineup, I like it. I tell you, everybody's like has the Yankees dead and buried, and I don't know. I don't see it myself. And I'm normally the most pessimistic guy in the world, so it's not just like rank homerism either.
You know who agrees with you?
Who?
Mark Teixeira. Right now he's in a minivan driving 3 kids from school as his wife is getting her nails done, and he's nodding right now. He's agreeing with everything you said. I do think here's what I could see happening. It's not Ewing theory because they won titles with all those guys, but that whole thing where they start out better than people thought, and then a little bit of nobody believes in us, but then you have those stories like, look, this clubhouse isn't a circus this year. It's just a bunch of guys who are out here doing their jobs.
That's right, lunch pail guys.
Yeah, it's just, it's nice. It's been nice. It'll be all these indirect shots at A-Rod without actually saying anything about him. But it'll basically be like, it was nice not to have a circus here in March and April and May. And you'll be reading between the lines and knowing that everybody is just taking shots at him. But,
right.
But I think that's where I could see the Yankees being a little better. I'm going to, as we're talking, I'm going to look up their Vegas over-under.
What would be interesting, too, is like, if the Yankees are playing well and they're like, first or second or like right on the Blue Jays' heels or whoever, or the Orioles or the Rays or whoever, it's like nip and tuck. And then like July, A-Rod's like, oh, I'm feeling better. I think I can come back. And the Yanks are like, geez, take your time. I don't want to rush things. Maybe some instructional league time would be good for you down in Tampa.
Yeah, don't rush this, A-Rod.
Plus, the Yankees might have some momentum. It's Mariano's last year, It's win one for Mo.
At some point, the Yankees just spike something of A-Rod's to have him fail another test.
Yes.
When that is going to happen at some point in our lives, the team intentionally spiking. Because like when Heidu Turkoglu got caught with steroids or HGH or whatever he did, he got suspended 20 games. The Magic saved almost $3 million from his terrible contract. They were not shedding tears.
Although apparently Major League Baseball contracts are different in that because the union basically runs the sport. Yes. I read or heard somewhere that A-Rod's contract, like, he can't be voided even if he fails another drug test and he's suspended for a whole year. There's like no morals clause or whatever the equivalent would be in a baseball contract to void his contract for PEDs.
But at least they wouldn't have to pay it.
No, I think they would.
Not for the year he got suspended. They
so
have to pay him?
Not playing. No, but I think, but it wouldn't be able to get out from the other remaining years of the contract once he's eligible to play again.
Hold on, I have the over-unders. This is just out of curiosity. What do you think the Yankees over-under is?
I think I may have heard about this, and it's lower than it has been in past years because the past couple of years they've always been like between like 90 and 94, I think, and this year it might be under 90. It might be like 89.
It's 86 according to Sportsbook.com. 86.
But see, the whole AL East is, except for the Red Sox, is considered to be good this year. So I think that they figure they're all going to sort of beat up on each other.
The Red Sox are 83.
And like, what are the Blue Jays?
The Blue Jays are 89.
And the Rays?
Baltimore is 78.5, which seems low.
That does seem low.
And then
they didn't really lose anybody of any note, did they?
now. I mean, I guess maybe they're thinking
They thought
year
it was smoke and
after.
mirrors last year.
Yeah. And then Tampa is 86.5.
Okay.
Did I say Tampa already?
No. The Red Sox are predicted to have more wins than the Orioles.
So Toronto is projected to have the most wins.
Yeah, everybody loves the Blue Jays.
I don't know about the Blue Jays.
I've gotten a lot of taunting tweets from Blue Jay fans.
What?
They've been quiet since 1993, but now is their time to crow.
What do you mean taunting tweets? Like what?
Like, when Granderson went down and Teixeira went down, and even before that about, like, the Blue Jays are the cream of the crop and the Yankees don't have a chance and what have you.
You don't have a chance, eh?
Exactly. They were all nice in a Canadian kind of way. The Canadian taunting, like, I think your team might be down a little there, eh? Sorry.
Well,
still good luck to you, though.
They have
your organization might be down a little bit this year, eh?
They went with Melky Cabrera the year after his PED suspension when there's blood testing. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that signing isn't going to work out.
I know. Talking about a roll of the dice, yeah.
Colby Rasmus, who they traded a crap load for.
Yeah, he threw John Farrell under the bus.
And who knows with him? He hasn't done it yet. Bautista.
Yeah.
Jose Reyes, who the Marlins just couldn't wait to get rid of.
I know. We'll see if he's interested.
Brett Lawrie, who was the hottest hitting prospect last year, and then I guess he came on a little bit at the end, but hasn't totally done it yet. Encarnacion, Adam Lynn's the DH. The staff is nice.
Well, and it's nice if Josh Johnson is healthy, but I mean, he's made out of porcelain.
Right. R.A. Dickey.
And Mark Burley was terrible in the American League.
Yeah, that one I didn't love that one. Brandon Morrow I like. Ricky Romero.
Who knows?
If I remember, it wasn't great last year. Bullpen, nobody I love.
Right.
Yeah, 89 seems high for them.
People love them though.
I would lean toward Tampa. That's the team I'm the most afraid of.
When in doubt, never go against Tampa because Joe Madden always makes it happen, and they always find some guys in the minors that turn out to be phenomenal.
The starting rotation: Price, Moore, Hellickson, Neiman, and Cobb. That's pretty nice.
Yes.
And then I don't think they're probably bringing up Will Myers like in May, the guy they got from the Royals.
Yeah, the Royals guy.
And at that point, if they get a breakout year from Jennings, Longoria got hurt last year. You know he's going to have a huge year this year.
Right.
And then Myers, that's a team I think is the team to beat.
Yeah.
Let's talk about my pathetic Red Sox for a second.
Please.
First of all, not since 97, the year that Aaron Seeley was the opening day starter after Clemens left, have I been less excited about a Red Sox team.
Really?
Right now, according to the depth chart, we're starting Johnny Gomes in left field.
Yes.
So that'd be nice.
This is a true story. I texted you about it at the time. My wife and I went out to dinner. I think it was like about a month ago, and I know what it was. It was a belated Valentine's Day dinner. We went out, and then we went to the movies. See Zero Dark 30. It's a good romantic Valentine's Day movie, and we were having dinner. And we were waiting in the bar for our table, and on the TV was NESN Red Sox report from the fort. It was spring training, and they showed Johnny Gomes in the outfield.
Oh no!
And my wife goes, "Oh my God, is that guy an outfielder?" I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "He looks like a DH or first baseman." I'm like, "Yeah, that's Johnny Gomes, the Red Sox left fielder."
And your wife is not a giant baseball fan either.
No, and she knew enough to know that he was didn't really have the physique of a left fielder as he lumbered towards the wall.
I have a lot of thoughts about this Red Sox team. I'm still sorting them and coming to grips with them.
Yes.
But two things symbolize this Red Sox season for me. One is that we were about to sign Mike Napoli for like 3 years, $39 million.
Yes.
He failed his physical.
Yes.
Like about a month passes, and then he ended up signing for 1 year, $5 million.
Yeah.
So he went from $13 million a year for 3 years to $1 million for $5 million for 1 year.
Right.
Needless to say, I'm not as excited about the Mike Napoli signing as I was when they got him the first time.
No, anytime you have the words like hip necrosis involved, necrosis, which is like Latin for death, like his hip is dying. That's not a good sign.
Whatever happened in that physical reduced his value by 800%.
His his physical was the opposite of the famous Anthony Penny Hardaway workout.
If you went to Best Buy and they had like a plasma for $6,000 and you're about to buy it, and then all of a sudden something happened and then it was available for $700, you would assume like somebody dropped it.
Right. There'd be some questions.
Yeah. So that's one thing. And then the other thing for me is we dip back into the Drew family, Johnny.
Yeah, Steven.
I didn't really like my first experience with the Drew family. He had the $14 million Grand Slam, helped us win the 2007 World Series. We'll always be grateful. And then things turned, Johnny.
Well, the Steven Drew thing is fascinating because there's like 500 other moves that like precipitated that are head scratchers to me. Because it all goes back to 2 years ago when Papelbon they let him go for like $4 million or something, which is like chump change to the Red Sox.
Yeah, but I have to defend that. It was time for him to go.
All right,
but go ahead.
But everybody, so then he leaves, and everybody says, "Well, okay, well now Daniel Bard is going to be the closer."
Yep.
He was the setup guy. He throws 95, whatever he throws. He's going to be the closer. But no. Daniel Bard wants to be a starter, so we have to go now and get a bullpen.
Yeah.
So you trade. Who was the outfield?
Josh Reddick had like 40 homers last year.
Future Jed Lowry for Mark Melanson.
Yeah,
everybody knew it was going to be terrible.
And then Jed Lowry, there was like a big trade market for him this winter when Houston retraded him.
Right, because he was great for Houston.
Yeah, people like Jed Lowry. I actually was one of them.
And everybody says, well, Mark Melanson can't be the closer, and the Red Sox realized that.
Yeah.
So they trade Josh Reddick, who had a solid first half, to Oakland for Andrew Bailey.
Right.
Okay, so Andrew Bailey's going to be our closer now. And
they were like, well, the only question with him is he's pretty injury prone.
Exactly.
He didn't make an opening day.
So then they get Andrew Bailey, and he breaks his thumbnail or something in spring training, and is never heard from again until August.
Yeah.
And then when he comes back, he's terrible.
Yeah.
And he gets lit up repeatedly. So now you have traded Jed Lowry, the shortstop of the future, for the next 10 years. So you don't have a shortstop. You don't have a right fielder, and you don't have a closer. So now that precipitates all the moves you had to do this year of signing Victorino and Gomes, and then signing J.D. Drew's brother to play short. And now you have to trade for another closer because we've already given up on Andrew Bailey, and we go get the Pirates closer, Joel Hanrahan. And everybody's like, wow, what a breath of fresh air Ben is, because he's such a good baseball man. Really? Based on what?
And people think that Hanrahan could be like Mark Melanson part 2 because
I know,
of like
he's been terrible in the spring.
If you pick apart his like advanced stats, it gets very, very dicey pretty quickly.
And I saw him at spring training too, and he's not exactly a finely tuned athlete. It doesn't look like either.
Anytime your team is making moves based on chemistry and improving the chemistry and media relations.
Yeah.
Like Shane Victorino was like, they might as well have just drafted freaking Chris Christie. They just signed him. Like if you want somebody who's personable, who's going to win over the media, like just get a politician or an actor.
Yeah, exactly. They could have signed Bill Clinton to play right field.
I think he would have done it. Just pay him $13 million a year and bat him like once every 5 games, and we would have had this
stories in the clubhouse.
Yeah, but everyone's like, Shane Victorino is the greatest guy. Yeah. All right, I'm sure he is.
It's like a softball team. Like it's a good bunch of guys, and everybody just assumes that John Farrell's going to come in, and he's like the horse whisperer for pitching.
Yeah.
So John Lester, who's been terrible, and Buck Holtz, who's also made of porcelain, that he's going to have some mystical formula for them, and they're going to be phenomenal, and John Lester's going to win the Cy Young.
I'm going to go. I'm trying to give John Farrell the benefit of the doubt because he's the new manager. Everybody likes him. But you can't sleep on how bad he was for Toronto.
I know. That team fell apart under him in the second half.
And threw him under the bus. Like there were guys like bitching about him and stuff. It wasn't like, it's not like they went and got the young Tony La Russa.
No, I know. And the Red Sox love him because he was a company man, and he was like Tito's right-hand guy, and he knows the organization, and I'm sure he listens to, Larry and Werner and Henry, so that's what they like. And the players love him. I'm sure P.D. Roya has a cribbage board all set
stop
for
it.
the game.
Oh crap! I was going to say about
your other problem you have, of course, is the is the elephant in the room. Your DH there, Big Papi, who you re-signed for 2 years and $26 million.
We started playing with house money with him like 4 years ago.
And I mean, I understand you got your money's worth, and you're paying him for past performance. I totally get that, but the team, the record was very different for the Red Sox when he was in the lineup and when he was not, and now he has some mysterious lingering heel ailment that he can't seem to shake.
Yeah, it's not good, Johnny. Did you read the article about the season ticket wait list?
No, I missed that.
It was a couple weeks ago. It was about how they've had this wait list for years and years. This year they finally started dipping into it because people are giving up their tickets.
Oh, really?
Because it's 81 games. They were horribly overpriced, and nobody could get rid of them because StubHub and all these different things have just ruined the secondary ticket market.
Right.
And unless it was like the Yankees or like, some interleague game against the Mets or something, like you weren't getting rid of your Mariners tickets in August or whatever. And so these people are giving up their tickets, and they were saying how nobody was even calling them to try to talk them out of it. It was like, okay, we'll grab it. And then they move on to the next person on the wait list. This is a racket.
Wow.
These owners have pushed. I just don't like rooting for the team. I love the Red Sox because that's my team. It's in your DNA. But the owners have gotten to the point between the smear campaigns and how they've turned the place into an amusement park and playing Sweet Caroline when we're losing by 8 runs.
Right.
And the fact that they're so sensitive to all criticism and everything that we end up like spending $36 million on Shane Victorino or whatever it was because they're so desperate to have a good guy who's going to spout the Kool-Aid.
Right.
It's really turned me off. And it's like it's not just that the team's bad. It's like I don't want to root for them.
Yeah, just because the ownership is so.
But I know spring training's or the opening day is gonna start, and I'll be back. But
when's the NBA end? Like June? Once that's over, you got to fill the months of July and August. Preseason football isn't going to do it for you.
I just wish they would sell. Like you won your 2 World Series.
Yeah.
You're gonna make a gigantic profit. You turned Nesson into a TV monolith. The Dodgers have established like the crazy franchise price for your team. Like just cash in with your 2 titles and the money you're gonna make. And put the team in the hands of somebody who has a fresh slate.
Yeah.
Because I just hate what the team's turned into.
Speaking of the Dodgers, I was going to tweet this as a joke, but I was afraid soon people would take me seriously. But I'm like, Granderson's hurt and Teixeira's hurt. The Yankees need a left fielder and a first baseman. Maybe they can call the Dodgers and see if they can get Crawford and Adrian Gonzalez.
Crawford's still hurt.
I know, I'm kidding.
they thought Crawford was going to be healthy, and I
know the Dodgers would love a do-over on that trade, wouldn't they?
It's incredible how little they care about money, though.
Yeah, it's just money to burn.
They made so much money with the TV thing. It was like close to $8 billion, and I think they paid like 2.3, and everybody thought they like severely overpaid. I was not one of those people.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think we even talked about it on this podcast. They made so much money from that Time Warner deal that Magic just shows up for work just smiling, just happy.
That's right. I'm only 1 degree of separation away from Magic. Maybe I can talk to you about getting him to take the A-Rod contract.
Oh, I could probably convince him during the breaks on Sunday's show.
Nice.
No, I don't think they.
Is A-Rod friends with LeBron? Like maybe if A-Rod goes to the Dodgers, LeBron will get in the dunk contest. Can we work up some kind of deal like that?
Maybe. He would do anything to get LeBron in the dunk contest. I think for some reason he's very focused on it. When he brought it up on the show, we didn't even know he was going to say that.
Really?
He threw the $1 million, and Jalen and I were like, "What?" Like we didn't know if he was kidding.
That's funny.
It's funny. Like I didn't realize how involved he was going to be with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I just thought he was like,
figurehead.
Yeah, figurehead. They used his name. He put some money in, but he actually like knows what's going on. And you ask him questions, and he like knows all the answers. Like he's legit.
That means through you, I'm only 2 degrees of separation away from Don Mattingly, and I thought of that. I'm a little shaky.
The Hitman.
The Hitman.
Johnny, you come out. I have connections.
Nice. Oh, that's perfect. My God, I'd be weeping.
Yeah.
I'd be like a teenage girl at a Bieber concert.
The big thing they did with Dodger Stadium was improve the experience of coming and going to the game so that you didn't feel like you were going to get beaten up on your way to the ballpark or on your way out?
That's a good sign.
Fear is usually not a thing that drives walk-on
Not generally.
tickets.
No.
Like when you're driving to the park going, uh-oh, we're parking over here and it's a little dark. I hope we make it to the entrance. That's not good. So now they have like a million security people walking around and stuff. Magic said they have like over 30,000 season ticket holders this year.
Wow, that's pretty good.
What do the Yankees have?
I don't know. Probably less than that because their prices are so high.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be the easiest year to get Yankee tickets, right?
I would think, yeah. I'm sure it's like the Red Sox where the bloom is, a little off the rose. So, people are probably a little on the outs.
Should we make, before we go, one last plea for Holy Cross to join this Catholic conference?
Is there still time, right? They haven't finalized all the teams yet.
They only have 7. They only have 7. They need 8.
Absolutely. I mean, they were talking about some other schools like Creighton, right? Or Butler, maybe, some non-Catholic schools.
We were on an email chain.
Yes.
And we were saying how, like, the goal of a college with their alumni is to try to drum up as much alumni money as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing our school could do would lead to more alumni contributions and more alumni pride and alumni reconnecting and everything than if we had good basketball teams again.
Absolutely.
We would go to games.
And it's not like we're asking for football where you have to have
40
guys.
scholarships, and then you got to match it on the women's side, so it's really 80.
And it costs a fortune to run a football team, and then you have to spend the equivalent fortune on women's sports too.
Right.
Basketball is not that expensive. It's 12 guys. There are 12 women.
Yeah, it might be 9 scholarships plus 5 financial aids things, and then you match it on the women's side.
We're not asking for the world here. And the school has a basketball tradition. 1947 champs, 1951 NIT champs, when that meant something.
First school to get invited to the Big East.
That's right. We should right the wrong of the leadership at the time in 1978 or whatever that said no.
I look at Gonzaga, and it makes me angry because I think they have something like 4,500 undergrads.
Right.
Holy Cross has somewhere like 3,000, I think.
Right.
And they have the West Coast. They've established themselves as like this small college monopoly for basketball. They got to number 1 this year, which, 10 years ago would have seemed inconceivable.
Right.
And we could be the East Coast version of that.
And you don't have to sacrifice academics. Look at Georgetown. Georgetown's a great school. It's like practically an Ivy League school.
Yeah. What better advertising for your school than like, who knew what Gonzaga was? Did you know where Gonzaga was? Like, I just knew Joe House went to high school at Gonzaga. I didn't know there was a college. Right.
Right.
And it makes me so mad.
Well, what one of the problems is, though, is that Holy Cross just got like the biggest donation in its history, where some guy just gave him $25 million, but it was to build an arts section on campus or something, or a theater, and he wanted money donated to booster or bolster arts programs at Holy Cross. It's all well and good. I like art and music as much as the next guy, I guess.
Listen, Johnny, when I gave them that $25 million,
it was supposed to be anonymous.
Arts is very important to me. I was supposed to be anonymous, first of all, but arts is very, very important to me.
It was for the study of farts. You left the F off. It was a mistake.
It was the Blue Boy building.
Buddy.
Yeah.
No, but the guy gave him $25 million for the arts, so their leadership is probably like, look at this. We got this art money rolling in. We need an equivalent donor who ponies up something similar or a big number to bolster sports.
Yeah. I don't know who that is.
I don't know.
Maybe there's some rich
out there listening.
Maybe there's some rich guy listening. But man,
Holy Cross.
I can't even tell you how excited I would be if we were in the Big Priest.
Oh my God,
or whatever
that would be
they
the
call
greatest thing. Honest to God, I guarantee, like alumni donations would go through the roof.
Yeah,
people would be clamoring for tickets to go see them play, like Georgetown and
it'd be
Villanova.
unbelievable.
It'd be crazy.
Plus, the other thing with Holy Cross is we have alumni like in Washington. There's a ton of alumni in Washington, ton of alumni in who else would be in there? Fordham would be in there, so New York.
Well, Fordham's in it now, but yeah, it would make sense. If BC would never leave the ACC now that they're in it, but if you could ever get BC and have the old Holy Cross BC rivalry.
Oh my God, Johnny.
There's so many national rivalries when, Georgetown, the whole Jesuit thing, Georgetown and Holy Cross, St. John's, Villanova, all the traditional Big East rivalries. If you had Providence in there, how far is Providence from Worcester? Like half an hour?
Oh yeah. It was a half an hour when I was driving.
Yes.
I think it's really an hour.
Really an hour, but just talk about like local. I mean, it makes sense from a geographic standpoint, geographic rivalries.
Mm.
We're not asking them to go big time and like join the Pac-10 and they're flying 3,000 miles. Everybody's in the Northeast. It makes too much sense.
Keep pushing. The Holy Cross alumni out there. We got to keep pushing. Keep pushing the administration.
It'd be the best thing ever. Tradition. In honor of there's a new pope, a new conference. It all goes together. Let's
get some purple smoke going. We have black smoke, white smoke. We need some purple smoke.
Absolutely.
Johnny, we'll call you near the end of spring training.
Sounds good.
Talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
So I get to sign off. Whoa.
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Pod Center at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.